Hey everyone, it's Ben Hardy here, and in today's going to be reviewing the Acura NSX. Before we get in this video, I want to give a huge shout out and thank you to the Jody Wilkinson Acura here in Salt Lake City, Utah for giving me some time with this NSX. I'm going to include a link to their website in the description down below so you can check out what they have currently. And if you don't already know, Jody Wilkinson Acura does not charge markups over MSRP on any of their brand new cars, including Type S models. So if you want a great deal on a new Acura, reach out to them. And then on a side note, if you want to save time and money the next time you purchase a car, link to my car buying guide in the description down below. Let's get into it. So powering the NSX is a twin-turbo 3.5-liter V6 paired to a hybrid system in a dual-clutch automatic. Total power outputs are 573 horsepower and then 476 pound-feet of torque. And I just absolutely love the display of the NSX. It looks so cool for just any car, especially a supercar. I think other manufacturers should, learn a little thing from Acura here at the display. Oh, and I guess while we're back here, you guys can see the cargo space in the rear. Now, before we move forward with this review, I do want to mention, if you want to see more videos just like this, then I recommend you subscribe because I post content every single day. Now, taking a look at the hood, I love the venting there on either side. It looks so cool. Now, popping down below, the headlight situation here looks absolutely insane. And then you guys can see, again, more venting off to the side. And then notice how this is all blacked out. And then you do have some parking sensors integrated into the front. And putting it all together, let me know your thoughts on the NSX, but I think it looks so cool from the front end. Coming on the side here, our tire wheel setup is 245, 35, 19 in the front, and then 305, 30, 20 in the rear, so fully staggered setup. I love the metallic gray coloration here in the wheels, and then the red brake caliper also looks fantastic. And then look how cool the fender looks, and then you guys can see here, by the way, everything is functional that you see on this. And then look at the mirror, how that's like sculpted for aerodynamic efficiency. And then you guys can see on the side as well. And then here's your full side profile with the NSX. It has that super cool, sleek supercar appearance. Now this one has the matte carbon fiber spoiler, which I'm a huge fan of. And then you guys can see the taillight design, which also just adds to the aggression with the car. And then notice everything's blacked out here at the bottom. And then of course, we've got all the exhaust tips there in the center. Putting it all together, again, a huge fan of how this looks, but let me know what you guys think about the NSX. Now, taking a look at the door panel, you guys can see really nice leather trim mixed in with the Alcantara. And then notice we got our window controls here. You've got all of your mirror adjustments. You can see there for your memory seats. And then again, look at the mirrors. Now, this is a pretty neutral spec. So you guys can see we've got these black seats. So again, pretty neutral with the red. But again, leather and Alcantara. You've got all of your adjustments there. And then we've got the pedals down below, which actually look pretty normal. Now, taking a look at the steering wheel, it's got this cool square design with the marker there at the top. Paddle shifters there for the dual clutch, and you got practical controls in the front for like your cruise control, volume controls, all of that. And then you have regular stocks here. Lots of Honda switchgear because, again, it's an Acura. Now in the center, we've got this digital gauge cluster, which will show you a bunch of different bits of information on the car. It has kind of like a little bit of a lower resolution because obviously the NSX was what, in the 2017 model year, I think was the first model year. So not the newest style of digital gauge cluster, but I like it. I think it's kind of charming. But notice we got some different drive modes. So you've got your quiet mode, and then you have your sport, and then your sport plus, and then you have to hold for track, and boom. Pops it into track mode, most aggressive setting obviously, and then it actually turns off the infotainment system, just says that, so you focus on driving. Now here's a quick look at the camera system. You guys can see it got a backup camera with trajectory lines that turn with the steering wheel resolution on it. It's okay. And as for the rest of the infotainment system, if you guys have seen, or if you saw my older Honda reviews, then you'll remember this infotainment system. It works pretty well. It doesn't necessarily have the best response time, but it's one of those situations where it just, kind of gets the job done. I love this with the Alcantara on the top, and then you can see more leather trim throughout on the dash. And then down below, we've got our climate controls here, drive mode select as well, and then you've got your transmission select here, and then heated seats on either side, parking brake with our brake hold. And you got a little storage space here, and then look at this with the trim on the side, really nice looking. And then we've got our little storage area here in the back as well. And even though it's a supercar, we have a glove box, which it's not the biggest, but again, it gets the job done. The front of this is very interesting with how it's shaped. That's unique. Well, let's talk about visibility before we set off. Here's your visibility over the hood, both of the mirrors. Throughout the rest of the rear, yeah. Visibility in the back isn't the greatest, but throughout the front, it's actually really good. You guys can see it popped into the EV mode. And it looks like we've got full charge of battery, which is pretty cool. I'm a huge fan of the NSX. If you guys don't know, I think this is the best supercar out there because it's reliable, it's easy to service, right? You can take it to an Acura dealership. It's not like you're taking it to some crazy exotic dealer. And then on top of that, it's super daily drivable. Like you'll see that as we're driving, like again, the EV stuff helps out, like smooth, quiet, right? Like, I mean, it's basically a Prius, but it has a little bit more horsepower than a Prius, and it's got the engine in the middle instead of in the front. Oh, by the way, that's what I meant. And you know, although it is low to the ground because it's a supercar, the clearance on this actually isn't too bad. So quick. If we do it in the quiet mode, this is where it like really pulls back on the power, so you just don't get a whole lot from the engine. But I mean, it still moves. Just if you go full throttle in quiet mode, it's like gutless. It's crazy how much less power it gives you. But it emphasizes on being EV driving. Like I've driven a lot of cars. I recently did a review on the 911 Turbo S, and don't get me wrong, I love the 911 Turbo S, but there's some things that I like about this more than the 911 Turbo S. First off, this looks more like a supercar, right? The 911 just looks like any other 911. This is more comfortable with the suspension. The 911 is really comfortable, but this is more comfortable. This is quieter too, I think. I think it's just a better daily driver compared to the 911, which again, the Turbo S is supposed to be all about daily drivability. So it's kind of interesting. And I really like this Alcantara steering wheel. Obviously, this is a steering wheel that you'll probably have to, you know, replace more often than a leather steering wheel, just because Alcantara seems to wear a little bit quicker than leather. So we're gonna pop it into the Sport Plus mode. So this is gonna be the most aggressive setting here. I love the turbo sounds you get out of this too. Like again, this sounds super unique. Don't get me wrong, 911 sounds cool, but this just has a much more unique sound to it. It's just completely different. Love how responsive this is overall. Lost the papers. It's so quick. It's so monstrously quick. I suppose I should adjust this a little bit. We'll get another acceleration in a little bit, but like, it's just impressive. And the thing that I love about this powertrain setup is, so, you know, dual clutches sometimes are clunky. This doesn't feel clunky at all, because what you have happening here is you've got the electric side of things filling in torque gaps between the gear shifts. And so it smooths everything out. But then on top of that, it makes it feel quicker because you don't feel like that power loss that you get with most, you know, any automatic between gear shifts. Like, it just feels like it keeps going. And again, that's because of the electric side of things constantly feeding in. And I mean, if I pop it in the manual mode here, super quick with the gear shifts. The downshifts aren't the fastest, I will admit that, but they're not annoying. Like, they're fast enough. And then the NSX also has the steering system where as you go faster, less steering input does more car turning input, if that makes sense. And so that also kind of adds to the interesting experience. Like, I remember I took my friend's NSX up a canyon. I did a video on this. If you guys can look it up on the channel. Or took it up on a canyon drive, and like basically I'm just doing this, but it's doing the big turns, and that's because of the variable steering rack. Another cool part of this car. We'll get a little acceleration here. Love the turbo noise too. Turbo noise is great. And yeah, I just went over that little big manhole cover thing, whatever you want to call it, box in the ground. And I mean, it's crazy how, it's crazy how well the damping, how good the damping is. Just the turbo noise you get, so cool. So yeah, to come full circle with the NSX, I think that, and I've reviewed quite a few supercars at this point in the channel. I think this is not the most visceral supercar, so it's not technically the most exciting, but I find it very exciting. But this is the most livable supercar, right? It's super daily drivable, it's super reliable, it's very easy to do any sort of maintenancing on it. And I mean, it's crazy. People just are sleeping on this. And so these, even though Acura didn't make that many of these NSXs, they're still very reasonably priced. Like I think this one's in like the 130s or something like that. Like you look at Lamborghinis and Ferraris and they're all like $200,000-300,000 plus dollars. And so the performance you're getting, at the dollar value and the reliability and everything, I mean, I think this is a no-brainer if you're looking for a supercar. And I love this red color. But let me know what you guys think about the new NSX.